Welcome to MacroCode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to proceed with our Blazor series. So as you can see on our screen, we have our app that we have been creating for adding new students. So we're actually creating a students management system using Blazor. So as you can see, we are able to add a new student on our app. So these are some of the data. If you just add, then you are able to actually delete. So previously we were creating countries, and on our countries we did some things. One is we created an add country, but there's a component. So you can see we have our country code, country name, and save country. Then we actually created the service, country service, that was to handle the adding of a new country. So you can see this is our iCountry repository having the add async, update async, delete async, and get all, and get by an ID. Then you also have the country service implementing our iCountry repository. So we're actually using HTTP client. So this is the add async country. We're expecting a country model. Then on our API, so this is what we are supplying. So when you come to our API, we have our controllers. So we have the country controller, which has all the endpoints for getting the countries, getting a single country, add a country, and you're expecting a model. Then you're able to save this. So we are using the country repository. So on our last video, we wanted to implement our country repository. So we have it here. So what was pending was to create a service. So I'm going to create a service for our country repository. So just a class. Then I'm going to call this country repository service. Country repository service. So once I add this, because we had created one, so I'm going to reuse some of these some of the items here. So I'm going to stop my app. So on the country, so let me just call this country repository so that we are able, instead of adding the word service, I'm going to rename that. So when you see on our students repository, we are using our application DB context, and this is where we are now implementing all other. So I'm going to copy this, then paste it here. Then here we are actually implementing iCountry. So this should be country. Sorry, country. So I don't know if we have it. Let me just, yes, so there it is. So this is what we are implementing. So the service for this was missing, so we are going to do that. So, and then this, so I'm going to replace our constructor here with that. Then instead of saying add, so we are going to, let me just do this. I want to remove this so that when we just come here, we can actually implement the interface. It will add all the methods. So you can see it has actually added all the methods. And to now do that, let's reuse what we had now on our, so I'm going to reuse this. So it is async task student, then that, so you can adopt the same thing. It is async, so here you can say async, then task country, then add country, then we can now pass this. So instead of saying student, you can say mod, then you can say new country. We have that. Then you can pass mod. Here now we are saving it to our countries table. Then save changes, and you can actually return the new country. So that is it for the delete. So we can do the same thing. I'm going to copy this under here. Then I'm going to just replace. Then I'll say this is a country. Then here we are adding countries where ID is equals to ID. Then we are going to say, so this, remember, is async. Then we are going to say, so that is it. What's the issue there? Then this is a country. This is country. Then this is countries. Then we return our country. So what is the issue here? Country await context country where ID is equals to that. So you can say first or default. Then that is it. Get all. So you can also borrow some. So you see here, we are also getting all. So the get all, these will be countries. Then here we are expecting data to come from our countries table, then to list. Then remember this is a sync. Then here we now get the countries. Get the country by an ID. Can copy what is here. So it's just some. We'll actually see why we can reduce this duplication. So we can actually use a generic service. So in our next video, we are going to actually implement this. So country. Then here we'll say countries. Then we get ID. Then here we can say, remember this is a sync. So if we just do that, we say single country, it will return a single country. Then the next thing is to update. So we need to update data, the countries. So I'm just doing that. So remember this is mode. So you can actually say mode is null, we return null. Then this is new country. So we can say updated. Updated country will be the countries table. First get then update this to country. So this will be mode. Then we save the changes, but remember this is a sync. Then you can actually do now return the updated country. So that is it. So we have actually now created a country repository service implementing our iCountry repository. So let's launch our app and see. So on our previous video, we had some errors. And let's see if that error is still there or we have actually resolved everything. So let's see and how our app looks like. So for the add country, you can see we have the add async. We are passing our country object and our country object is already binded. So let's see. So this is our app, and when you come to countries, it's already working as expected. You're able to delete a record. Then when we come to countries, this is where we were getting an issue. So you can see the input does not contain any JSON token expected when it's final block. So let's see what is the issue. So when we go to our country service, you can see we are getting an issue here. So let's go to our country service. And this is going to our, yes, so let's go to our country service. So on our country service, so this is it, where we are retrieving all the records. So I want us to see if this HTTP get async countries, all countries, is actually hitting our endpoint here. So let's see our endpoint here, if it is actually getting all the countries. So let's relaunch. Let's see how our countries is being retrieved, whether there is something. So if we click countries, you can see we have the data. So let's see what is the data here. So it says this not found. So this URI is not found. So to address this issue, let's check on our services that we have registered on program.cs. So for the client side, let's see program.cs, we have iCountry, then country service, student, and this is. So if we check for the program.cs under the server, we have the student report, then student, then iCountry. Yeah, so this is where the issue is. So let's register the correct service. So I'm going to have the country repository service. So if we just relaunch our app, we should not be getting that issue and everything should be working perfect. So let's see how our app looks like. So if we go to our app, then to countries, we should be able to see that it is trying to load countries. You can see there is no countries list available. So what happens if we try to add a new country? So if we click add new, then we can say KE, then we can say here Kenya. So which country are you coming from? Just type in below. We see where you are watching us from. So you can see we have added a country and we have now an ID 1, country code, country name, edit and delete. So let's add another country. We say TZ, that is Tanzania. So if we save, we have the TZ here. We can add another one, UG, Uganda. So type down below, guys, if you're watching this video, the country you are coming from. Let's say you can say South United States. Let's just use that. United States of America. So then you can add another one. You can say ZA Zambia. I don't know most of the codes. So we can do, I don't know if that is for Rwanda. So correct me if you are from Rwanda. So these are some of the data that we've just added. So you can see we are able to add now our country code, country name, and these other data. So what happens if we click edit? So let's see edit. So you can see we have an error. So do we have that form? Let's go to our page. So if we go to our folder for countries, under pages, countries, we don't have an edit button. So let's add it. Let's add an edit component, I mean. So let's add an edit component. So I'm going to add, then you can say edit country. So if we just do edit country, we have added the components. So I'm going to reuse what we have on our student component. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to copy this. Then on our add components, on our add or edit rather component. So this is it. So we can say update country details. Then here I'm going to use now so let's just borrow some usings here. So I'm going to borrow this. So on our edit page, we want us to update and have this. So here we will actually say country. So this will be country. Edit, then we pass the parameter. Then we have our services, then that is it. So here, I want us, instead of using student, we just use country model. Then you can say this is a country object. So there you go. So if we come here now, we are using our country, then you can say update country. Then you can say update country. So we are changing the form name as well. Then our object here will be the country. Our first field will be the country code. Then here will be the object, country object, then the country code. You can say it's actually the code. Then you can use that and you can say code. Then you have the country name. Then we can use the code, the name now. There you go. Then we bind value should be our name. Then we are only saving those two. So we can actually do away with these other ones. So I'm going to do away with this. So we are remaining now with our, so let's just close that. There you go. So we are now remaining with our country code and the name. So this one should be the code, our input text, and this one should be the name. So ensure that is correct. Then we'll say update country. You can say update country. So once we do that, we now have our initialize to load the country. Remember, we are loading the country that has been selected. So I'll change this to load country. Then we now binding the data to our object so that you're able to see it. Then here we are saying country service. Then we say get by ID. So we are getting a country by an ID that we supplied. So remember, this ID is actually coming from is actually a parameter during navigation page. And you are expecting that parameter here. So once we do that, we can now say update country. So if we click update country, we are still using our country service. We should actually now pass the new updated data. So the update country, and we should now pass our object with new values that it has. Then we navigate back to the list. And how do we navigate the list? We navigate the list using the countries list link. So if we go back to our edit, this should be the countries list. Then here, if you click cancel, this is the countries list. So we are now expecting so this is the country, then edit. So let's see if that is the correct navigation on our, you can see this should be country, then edit, and this should be country, then delete. So do we have a delete section? We don't have. Let's add the delete razor component. So I'm going to just say delete country. Delete country. So if I do that, I'm going to copy this one. So this same thing here. Then it is just reusing. Then I'm going to update our page here. Then before that, we need to borrow our dependencies. I'll just do that. Then update here. So here we'll say our link should be country, then delete, and we should actually pass the ID for the country that we are deleting. Then remember, this is so this will be delete country details. Then we should pass the country code that we are deleting, so, and the country name that we are deleting. Those are only the two things. The others we can actually get rid of them. Then we can say delete country. So here we are using country, and this will be country object. So this country object, we should actually use now them to display the name, and we can use them to display, so that object should give us the code. So once we do that, remember this parameter here of the ID is coming from our navigation, and we're expecting an ID from our navigation. So we should load the country, and that country should be based on the ID that we have supplied. So we also need to append our object and get the country service. We should actually retrieve our country from the country service, and we are getting it by an ID. So we say get by an ID async, and we supply the ID. Then when we delete, we also using our country service, and we delete. So we say delete async, and we pass the ID. So on deletion, we should actually now take us back to the list. And how do you navigate to the list? We are using this navigation here. So this is the page link navigation. So it is actually countries list. So go back to our list, our delete, then specify the correct navigation here. So we now have our countries details. So you can see country code, we are getting it from our country object. Then delete. This delete, once you click delete, it will actually now trigger this method. So on our countries list, when you click on edit, this is the navigation. It will take us to the country, edit, then the ID. This one as well for the delete is the country, delete, then the ID. And all of these two, we remember we have specified the URL here. So we are expecting this navigation. And for the edit, we are also expecting this navigation. So after we have done with that, let's try to launch our app and see what happens. So if you're new to this channel or you're watching our videos and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, comment down below so that you keep us posting more videos. So we noticed that 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you don't subscribe. So subscribe, like the video so that you keep us motivated in actually uploading more videos. So let's see how our app looks like. So if we come to countries, we had added some countries. So you can see we have some countries. So if I click add new, I can say MW, I can say this is Malawi. So if I just save, I'm able to see this data. So what happens if I click edit? So you can see now we are now able to update our country details, whereby we have our country code and our country name. And when you can see on our link top here, it is actually going to the country editor and passing the primary key for that data. So you can say Malawi, then you can do test updated. So this is just to update the country. So let's see if that works. So if we click update, you can see it has applied now our updated country name, and it has now given us test Malawi updated. So what happens if we delete? So if we click delete, it does the same thing. Navigates to our country, delete a eraser component, and with the primary key, gives us the country code that we have. So you see MW, then the country name, Malawi test delete. So if we click delete, it actually deletes the country. So this is what we have done for some of the countries. So you can actually add as many countries as you can. So this is our video on how you can update that. So we'll be doing now the other series. You'll be seeing that we have improved some of these items. But now the next one is we want to go and under students. Then when creating student, we pull this countries list from what we've added here. So that is on our next videos. For today's video, that is it for today. Subscribe on our channel, like the video, and comment down below. See you in our next video. Bye.